So, spawning here in the upper left is our Teal Terran, listing himself as playing for Odicad, but actually playing for StratK Gaming, at least as with respect to our purposes. We have Ouch. And spawning in the lower right, listed as IDGI, but playing at least this week for Alloy eSports, we have EnderSword. Welcome to a best of 3 ace match. PVT. Starting out on Heavy Rain, most people find Heavy Rain to be a place that at least mildly favors Protoss, with all these thin corridors to deal well with how the Protoss work, but the airspace is really good for Terran drop play. So we might well see a pretty good, pretty even game going on. These are 2 Diamond League players here in the Chobo Team League, which is a great league for players anywhere between Bronze and Diamond. If you haven't checked it out, I highly suggest you do so, because it's a lot of fun. Teams are always looking for new players. So here we have our SCV scout just kind of hanging out by where the natural might be for EnderSword, whereas this probe is heading right into Ouch's base. He's not making a wall off. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't versus Protoss. Usually if I choose to play Terran, I'm not a very good Terran, I mostly play Zerg. I always make a wall off regardless of who I'm facing. So this probe getting a nice full scout, seeing that it's going to be a Reaper expand, and it is. The Reaper's already on the way. And he doesn't know that that's a Reaper on the way, but it's pretty obvious. It's SCV hanging out, seeing that one gas has been taken, second gas is just about done, Cybercore just about done. In the meantime, though, we have a pylon going on up here for EnderSword. Don't know if this is going to be some sort of a proxy or just uses a warp end pylon. Probably find out soon enough. With Cybercore having finished, if it's going to be any sort of proxy, it'll probably come down pretty quick. Warp gate tech on the way. Now my suspicion... Oh, there we go. Proxy Twilight Council. Which actually wouldn't have been my suspicion, because, I'll admit when I would be wrong. My suspicion would have been Proxy Oracle, but nope, we're going to see a Twilight Council on the way. Anyway, we got our Reaper has discovered the proxy. Twilight Council immediately cancelled as the Reaper goes to very, very slow work on that pylon. Takes the Reaper a long time to take down a pylon. He will take it down eventually. But the one thing that this means at least in the positive for EnderSword, is that this Reaper is not in his base sniping probes and trying to do anything like that. As he only has one Stalker to defend, the Reaper might actually be able to get a few flame kills if he were in his base. Anyway, that pylon has been cleaned up, and as soon as that's done, the Reaper does head down towards EnderSword's base. In the meantime, we see another gateway down. Warp gate just about to finish. And the Reaper at least confirms that the natural nexus is indeed on its way. Runs away from this Stalker and Sentry for the moment. And Ouch sends down his command center. Seems to be moving out a small pack of Marines. Or at least moving out in front of his natural. Stim is just on the way. You might see a good stim timing. That's a lot of Marines to have at this point, so we might see Ouch move out with the stim timing. He is adding on a factory, but he does already have 3 racks. Engineering bay now on the way for Ouch. And a Robo on the way back home for EnderSword. Hallucinated Phoenix gonna fly across for a scout. Huh. Why would you turn around with Hallucinated Phoenix? Anyway. There he goes, heading across the map. Gonna see... Well, there's a lot of racks there. And having seen that Hallucinated Phoenix, and with his stim going to be done by the time he gets there, Ouch decides it's time to move out. At the very least, going to draw that photon overcharge that he knows will be coming down, because it will. Mothership core with just enough energy for a photon overcharge, actually. Yeah, only 20 extra energy. So this pack of stimmed bio is going to move in. And does exactly what it wanted to. Draws out a photon overcharge with minimal losses. Loses 1 Marine for it. Combat shields and +1 attack on the way. As well as another tech lab. Observer heading out to scout the Terran army. Finds that it has in fact moved along, as it has. Two medevacs about to finish. Those, I believe, will be the first 2 medevacs for Ouch. Concussive shells also about halfway done. And with those 2 medevacs, Ouch has decided it's time to move out. Hallucinated Phoenix is going to see everything now. Or at least that a move out is happening. Observer hanging out right over the army. Photon overcharge is used once more. Force fields don't really do much except hold the army a little bit back, though, and that isn't really that great of an idea. Half the army being elevated up by the main. No more photon overcharges in that mothership core. But the army runs for now. Taken back to the low ground. So far, the trade's doing much better for our Terran player. But Ouch pulling back for the moment. Vikings being added on in anticipation of those Colossi. First of which is now on the way, or maybe the second of which. Yep, second. First Colossus is already on the map. Second one's about halfway done, and extended thermal lance will be done shortly. scan confirms what's going on back at the Protoss base, which is, yep, there's an army. It's got a Colossus. But with 4 Vikings and a number more medevacs, yep, only up to 4. 5 Vikings and 4 medevacs. But anyway, now with a good air army being added to all of the ground army, as well as a single Widow Mine, the Terran player thinks it's time to move out. Finds a third on the way, pulls back, one of the medevacs goes down for free. The Terran army just pulls back for the moment. Seems odd to me. I know we could take that fight. Two more Vikings added into the mix. Three more on the way. Which means he had to have built another starport. Yeah, another starport there. Taking down these rocks, looks like he's going to try to attack from this angle. And here he goes, headed into that third. Nothing much in the third yet. 2 Widow Mines go down before the fight even begins. That is a lot of Vikings. Photon overcharges used. Mothership force sniped by the Vikings. The Vikings continue to try to kite away from the army. Army pulls back for now. Ouch, continuing to play very, very safe, very tentative game. Coming back in from the same angle, looks like he's going to finish off his Nexus. And then run right back, having lost a total of both of those Widow Mines, as I wasn't observing with that army, and 1 or 2 Marines. These Vikings starting to do a number on the Colossus. One Colossus down, a few of the Vikings start to fall to the Stalkers, though. So the Bio Ball of Ouch now moving back, along with the remaining Vikings and medevacs. Three Ghosts on the way. Personal cloaking also almost done for those. This was after the Ghost Energy Pad. Marines continued to be healed in transit as the army moves across. First few ghosts are all in the front, and that does not work out that well for him, and he loses most of his ghosts for pretty much free. Doesn't succeed at getting off the EMPs, and so takes a few storms, but the storms aren't really that great. The army having pulled back. That new Nexus does finish. And with the no Vikings with the army. Did he lose all his Vikings, or are they back home or something? I think he lost all his Vikings in that attack. Hey, he managed to lose every Viking. There's nothing to handle the Colossi, and kind of knowing that, EnderSword chases him all the way back to his base. But in the meantime, our Terran player is taking a 4th. Or is it? That's a 5th. That's his 4th. Which is kind of a bit of a sneaky base. SCV's hiding inside it for the moment. So they flew over in it that way. Anyway, our Terran player now has 5 bases to go. Protoss player now getting down to 4. And with a number more Vikings added, he thinks he can take this fight. But EnderSword thinks he can take the fight. Coming in, having play the force. Ghost getting down great EMPs now. EMPs, most of the army, not everything. Darn near everything. Skin the bio able to deal with most of the rest. All the real Colossi are down, a few hallucinated Colossi. But so is almost all the rest of the army. Pretty much a complete army trade. But most of the medevacs survive, which makes that near complete army trade much better for a Terran player. Except that he might well lose this base and the SCVs at it. If you cloak Ghosts coming in to help hold this back. And EnderSword does back off, which means that, as long as he didn't actually attack into the infrastructure, that actually did much better for a Terran player than it did for EnderSword. But EnderSword's actually a little bit higher on the resources lost count, and he's got 5 bases. And besides that, in general, Terran bio, much more efficient to play as than pretty much anything the Protoss player has. Got +1 vehicle weapons on the way, as well as +3 armor, which is the last of the bio upgrades. So it's going to be 3-3 pretty quick for our bio with our Protoss player being at C2. EnderSword deciding it's time to move out a little bit. Picking up, I believe, the mothership core hanging out. Yep, got a free mothership core in the middle of the map. And deciding to attack over this side. We're going to get this completely unused base. So our Protoss player back down to 3 bases. 2 EnderSwords, 5. And a 6th base here. 6th command center anyway. Not that it's that useful being morphed into another planetary. Building another command center up here, as he's got nothing better to do. He's maxed out. Both players pretty much maxed out at this point. EnderSword probably keeping open supply in case he needs to warp in. Both players maxed out with pretty typical compositions. The main difference being that Ouch has a massive bank and more bases to continue building up more bank. Anyway, we have the big engagement going down here. We got storms, we got lots of combat, ghosts fighting in the front. Most of the ghosts actually being left behind for the moment. The observer wasn't quite with the army, so the ghosts are actually doing pretty good work. Just being the ghost units for a while. And the rest of the bio is pushed back, but these ghosts actually continuing to do work and sniped all the observers. Get a lot of good shots off. They're almost dead, but man, those ghosts did some work. After that engagement, leaving our Terran player with a 50 supply lead. Able to remax much quicker, especially with that massive bank he was sitting on. Most of that bank now being spent on the remax. More ghosts being added in. So our Protoss player tries to come into the 6th base of Ouch, but it's right where the army is, and Ouch has a much superior army at this point, especially with the backup of a planetary. Might do well to repair those medevacs, but Ouch is a commanding lead at this point. Now up to an 80 supply lead. And that's only increasing, as EnderSword just doesn't have that much money, whereas Ouch is now maxed out again, 90 supply up with a bank. And moving out again. No, he does lose a pile of ghosts in the front. Oh, that was a heck of a 6th storm. Got like 7 ghosts in the storm. However, Ouch can afford it. He's got so much gas anyway. See those 7 ghosts being immediately remade. Now he's going to pull back until they're with the army, but continuing to make more SCVs. I don't think he needs more SCVs. Come on, 76. You got enough SCVs, man. Most of the point where you should be sacrificing SCVs, not making more. Anyway, he's up nearly 80 supply. He may not be, you know, ready to immediately win, but he is in such a lead. But the army kind of poking around. Oh, gets a medevac full. No, actually, it was an empty medevac. No, that was a medevac full of units. Otherwise, there wouldn't be that much on the supply tab. Production tab. They still have 2 medevacs. Gonna head into the main. Maybe they're not sure where they want to go. They decided to take out this base that's actually mining. At least take down probes at it. Now, this whole force is going to die, but they took down a number of probes, and that's a lot more important. And actually, the medevacs are going to get away, also somewhat important. The medevacs are actually worth something. But they got a number of probe kills, and at this point, getting some probe kills is almost certainly worth it. EnderSword only has 35 probes. He's lost this base, and he's really only got these 2 mining bases, and not that many probes out either. Well, actually, too many at this one. This one's oversaturated, and this one undersaturated. So, yeah. Yep, completely mined out at the main. Natural's a little bit more gas left. Anyway, we got an engagement going down here. A little bit of a poke, but Protoss players pushing back our Terran players. Nice storms. Once again, nearly perfect storm placement. But even with nearly perfect storm placement, look at all those ghosts. That's a lot of ghosts. This guy has the largest number of ghosts I've ever seen in the field for one player, and that's 22 ghosts right there. It's kind of crazy. 22 ghosts. In the meantime, building another CC, no doubt mostly to be a planetary. Heck, 2 more CC. Why not? He's got the money. Look at his bank. He's maxed out. 120.80. He's got 5k, 2k bank. Does any way Ouch can lose this? I'd be very surprised. Now, the main way he could lose this is if his production gets taken down. And it looks like EnderSword might be trying to do just that, but his force isn't enough. I mean, Ouch's force down here is a lot. He's going to try something in the base forward. Both players are going to be damaged, but what Ouch gets is his only real mining base. This base now being pretty much mined out. This is EnderSword's last push. He's got nothing behind this. He's got no more mining. At least not enough to matter. He does get this third base, but Ouch has 3 more mining bases. As well as his 2 mined out bases. He is losing a number of ghosts, but unlike EnderSword, he can afford it. Anything EnderSword loses, he's probably not getting back. He's got nothing left but this army. It is a heck of a nasty army. But Ouch is already back to 174 supply. He's already remaxed it. Already got another good bioforce here. He's finally going to be able to camp the production. But those storms aren't nearly as good as his earlier storms. Most of those storms are whiffing, or only catching a few in the front. But he's lost a few Archons. He's using more and more of his AoE. That was a great storm. But it's probably not going to be enough. We have another army coming in from the bottom. Yep. GG. Nothing left. Ouch takes the first game.